and welcome to our leg workout. My voice won't match because the audio didn't work for this video, so I'm just doing a voiceover. We're going to start by in our squat position, and we're going to go down. So you can hold onto your hands if you wish, or you can just let them go each time. It's up to you. You can have your hands on your hips if you like, it doesn't matter. Just going down to where you feel comfortable for this one, just as we're just slowly easing into it, starting to warm up our muscles. Now we're going to stay down and we're going to pulse. Breathing, focusing on that breathing. Keep going. 3, 2, 1. Coming up from there. Lovely. All right, so now we're going to have our arms overhead as we squat down. So as you go down, arms go up, and continue this. Trying to keep those arms as straight as possible. As we lift up, you're squeezing those back muscles to lift those arms up, and we're going to stay down and pulse. Keep those arms straight if you can. Find that mid-range to pulse. And coming up from there. Now we're going to move out into our sumo squat position, making sure we stay balanced. So from here, we're going to turn the toes out and our knees are going to track out over our toes. And we're going to go down for these ones rather than our hips going back like the squats we just did. You want to think about the body going down. Knees are going out to the side. You'll get a nice groin stretch here as well. So every time we stand back up, we're driving up through the heels, extending the legs out at the top. Thinking about our whole body going down. All right, so from here, we're going to go, as we go down into our squat, we're going to lift the heels, lower, stand up. Squat, lift the heels, lower, stand up. So we're doing a little calf raise at the bottom of each sumo squat. If that's a little bit too hard, you can just do one heel at a time. So you don't have to lift both heels up. Otherwise, you can hold on to something if you need a little bit of assistance with our balance. All right, now we're going to add these two together. So we're going to do the squat and the calf raise at the same time now. So you can keep them segmented like the one we just did before, but if you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can lift the heels up as you're going down. So they're working all at the same time. Really working on that balance. So this one, as you go down, you're going to be balancing on the balls of your toes, then driving through the balls of your toes to stand back up nice and tall. That's it. All right, so now we're going to do our Cossack squats. So they're our side squats, but we're going to add a knee lift. So you're going to start at the end of your mat, lift the knee, step out into that side squat or a Cossack squat. Same thing again. You can segment these if you need to. So lift the knee, step out nice and slow, stand up, and then pop the leg back in. So rather than a fluid movement, but to make it a little bit harder, you won't put the foot down after you lift the knee. So step right out. So as we go out, you're thinking about sending your bum backwards, chest comes forward for these ones. And to come back up out of that, drive through that bent knee, press through the heels, standing back up nice and tall. Trying to keep balance the whole time as we press back up to that standing. All right, so now we're going to go to the other side and do the other side. Lifting the knee up, finding that balance, out to the side, sinking those hips back, keeping the leg that's not moving You're going to try to keep it as straight as you can as you go out into that Cossack squat. So if you're super tight, you might feel it in the hamstrings or your inner thigh muscles all the way down into the knee, and that's okay. You don't have to step out as wide if you're feeling any discomfort there. You just find a position that you can manage for a few reps. Alright, so now we're going to face the top of your mat. We're going to do a step back lunge. So finding your balance, we're going to drop down. Now from here we're going to twist into a sumo squat, like what we did earlier. And then we're going to twist to the other side, lunge. So each time we're changing that position. So it's lunge down, come to the middle, sumo squat, and then change to the other side and lunge down. So I'm just twisting my feet on the mat. I just have a towel here as I'm traveling, so it's a little bit hard, but you want to just twist on the spot, and you want to focus about in our lunge to go down. Same as the sumo squat actually. Twisting, going down. Our whole body going down, knees go out for the sumo squat. Twist into the lunge, focusing on going down. So we want nearly 2 right angles for our lunge is sort of a good position to work towards. So squat, twist into that lunge, even pressure through your feet for those. That's it. So we'll go into the last few reps of these and having a rest there. Let me just fix up on that. Alright, so we're going to start down at the end of our mat. We're going to walk out into a plank position. So if you want to, you can walk out with straight legs. You'll get more of that hamstring stretch. So we're going to start in the top of our plank. So from here, we're going to lean back, explode forward, but not actually moving. So with this one, you want to pretty much like you're going to go onto your haunches. So lifting the heels all the way up. We're fully flexing through the toes, or extending through the toes, sorry. Pressing into the ground, leaning back, explode forward. So as I lean back, my knees aren't touching the ground. It might look like it, but they're not. And as I press forward, I'm pressing through my feet, explode back out into that plank position. So have a rest there. Now, this is also the alternative. You can just go into a segmented version. You can go down. Otherwise, you're going to stay in that position where we keep the knees off the whole time. You can alternate between them as well if you need a little bit more of a break. Now, from here, we're actually going to go into a deep squat. Then back out to a plank. So regression or alternative is stepping in, squat, step back out. So no jumping, step in, find that comfortable squat position for you, stepping back out. Otherwise, we're going to jump, find that squat, jump back out to a plank. With this one, we want to just work on exploding up and going into a deep squat. So it's okay if your spine is rounded in this, because we're just trying to find a position that you can hold and you feel comfortable with and that you can jump into straight away. So I trying to avoid jumping in, standing up, squatting, and so on. So we want to jump straight into that squat position and having a rest there. Whew, that one definitely gets the heart rate up. Just catching my breath. So now we're going to go into our hover holds. So this is on our hands and knees. You're going to tuck your toes under. Hands are underneath our shoulders, nice and strong, drawing those shoulders down your back. From here, we're just going to lift the knees off just slightly. So a couple of centimeters, lift, and then lower. So if you, a little bit easier, we'll be lifting the knees up higher. And you might find if you're getting tired that it will look like that, and that's okay. Over time, our goal will be working our goal will be working towards that lower position. So we're going to lift and lower. So we're pressing evenly through our hands and our feet. We're going to lift and lower. So having it just a couple of centimeters off, you'll start to feel it pretty much everywhere, like shoulders, abs, but especially through your quad muscles for this one. Don't forget to breathe for this one as well, because it is quite challenging and you're concentrating and you can tend to hold your breath. So we're focusing on that gentle breathing. And we're going to hold up there. Hold, keep going. This is where we're really going to focus on that breathing. You can do it. We're almost there. 3, 2, 1, and resting. Nice work. Okay, so from here, we're going to go into our inchworms. So same thing, tucking the toes, and we're going to walk our hands into our toes for this one. You can roll all the way up if you wish, and then coming back down, but sometimes you can get a little bit dizzy after a few. So we can just go out to that plank, walking all the way into that position to get a nice strong hamstring stretch, especially if you're feeling a bit tight. And then we'll go back out to that plank position and work your way in. So the goal is to have straight legs. Depending on your flexibility, bent legs is totally okay as well. So working through those, even pressure through the hands each one. So as we step back in, and trying to not let your hips shift too much. So engaging our belly muscles. Rolling up from there, roll those shoulders, have a nice gentle breath. Okay, so now we're going to go into RDLs. So they're a Romanian deadlift. With this, we're going to have our feet shoulder width apart, and we're going to have soft knees. So we don't want our knees to be fully straight or fully bent. Soft knees is like that happy medium in between. Now I want you to imagine someone's got a rope around your hips, your chest is coming forward and your hips are going back. So you should feel it down into your hamstrings and your glutes, driving the hips up to stand back up. So you can have your hands on your hips if you need to. So from here, you're going to hinge forward. So that's the goal. So not bending through the legs. We're sending the bum back. Chest comes forward, driving up. So a lot of our weight will be in the heels for this one. Hopefully you can feel it in the hamstrings and up into the glutes. From here, squeezing the glutes to drive the hips forward to stand back up nice and tall. So trying to avoid that bending motion. Hinging forward. So you can, if you need to, if you find you're bending too much, you can have a bench right in front of your knees, because then you won't be able to bend. All you can do is send your hips backwards and coming up. I find that's a really good cue, especially when you're learning, because you want the hips to do the work rather than just the knees doing all the work. And over time, you'll be able to go back further. Alright, that's it. So hopefully that is challenging enough for you. If not, you can always use dumbbells. But now we're going to go into, it's like a single leg RDL. It's also called a B stance, or a split stance. So the foot at the front is completely flat. The back one is lifted up. So most of your weight is on, for me at the moment, that left leg. And I'm sinking back into that hip. So the left hip we're working now. So that's my front leg. So exact same thing. I'm hinging back, driving up and through that front leg. Show you from the front. So as I go back, I'm nearly going back on a slight little angle to that leg that's at the front. So we want to feel it into the glutes. So we know that we're doing it correctly when after a few reps of nice, slow and controlled, you can really feel that glute muscle lengthening as we send the hips back, and you'll definitely feel it in the hamstrings too. And then we drive up by squeezing the glutes, driving through the heel for those hips to come back up to standing. All right, so now we'll change sides. Same thing again. If you want more of a challenge, you can use weights for this one. So for this one, my right leg is doing the work. So you can see here, that's where we want that lengthening happen, contraction as I come back. So my glutes lengthening as I send my hips back, same as the hamstrings, contracting as we come back up to standing. So remember, most of the weight should be on, for this one, our right leg. The left leg is just there for support. So as you start to go back, you might find that you'll go into that left foot, but just think about shifting the weight back into the right foot. That's it. And don't forget to breathe as well. I know it's a lot of information. That's it. Think about chest forward, hips back, and having a rest there. Good job. Hopefully that's a fun little exercise for you to work on as well. Now we're going to go into aeroplanes. So this is, I'll just demo it. So that's what it's going to look like. That's sort of our end goal. But to start off with, there's a few different options because of our balance. We're just going to start with a split position. The back leg's going to be straight the whole time. And we're just going to keep the toe on the ground the whole time. We're opening through the hips, and then we're turning to close them all the way under, pretty much onto itself. Opening. So for this one, we're working on that left leg, or that left hip joint really. So as we turn under, you'll really start to feel that we're internally rotated on that hip. So this is level 2, holding on to something. So the leg is lifted, the back leg, but now we got a little bit more imbalance happening. So a little bit more challenging. You have, try not to hold on to the chair too much. It's just there for a little bit of support. Opening and closing, and you'll start to feel that difference of how much more that lower leg, or that left leg has to work. And then the hardest level, you can either have your hands out to the side on your hips, is no hands with straight leg. And you can see for me, it's quite challenging as well. And you might find there's differences on each leg, and that's okay. So we're opening and then closing all the way under. So this one you want to do nice and slow. Really work through that full range that you have. Holding on if you do need to, if you're finding that you're wobbling around too much. And shake that leg out. That's quite a challenging one. All right, so now we're going to do our other side. Same thing. So we're going to start with our level 1. So that foot is back. So this one, our left foot is back. The leg is straight, and we're opening and closing through those hips. So now we're working on our right hip. All right, level 2 will be holding on slightly with that back leg lifted. So opening, and then think about closing. And we want to get that upper body turning all the way in with it. So obviously for me, like I'd probably move the chair, but just for the demonstration, it's on the other side. And we're trying to get that full rotation from our head all the way down our left side, all the way to the toes. So trying to twist under, find that balance. Just think nice and slow. It doesn't have to be huge movements to start off with once we're learning this, but over time you'll be able to get a bigger range because that leg, the standing leg, is a lot stronger. Nice, and resting there. Good job. All right, I hope you enjoyed. Bye.